Yo, what's up guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Stephen Tui. On this channel I make sewing tutorials. I post new videos on Wednesdays and on Saturdays, so if you're interested, please check back on those days in order to watch new content. If you like the video, please make sure to give the video a like. It's very important that you give this video a like if you like the video, and as well, in fact, go and like all my old videos that you like if you didn't give them a like. Please have a lovely day. Thank you for everybody that has subscribed so far. Enjoy the rest of the video. If you are a beginner or if you're a person that wants to brush up on your skill, I offer online courses. I'll be showing a demo how to make a jumpsuit for you to watch and decide if it will be convenient for you to learn online. If you're interested, send a Telegram message to the number that you can see on the screen. Thank you so much for your time. Have a lovely day. Alright, so welcome to today's video. So let's begin. You've seen the measurements that we have already and that I'm using already, and you've seen the design I'm trying to make. So you can see that it's a double-breasted design. One side is like a wrap, one side crosses into the other. So in order to achieve that look, the very first line we will draw is we're going to rule a line from the edge of your paper. I want you to make a mark at 2 inches. And the next thing you're going to do is you're going to place ½ inch at the top. Now this is going to be where we place our shoulder measurement. Okay, so after you've done this, you're basically done with the hard part. The next thing you're going to do now is you're going to place the shoulder measurement. So the shoulder we're working with is 8 inches. 8 inches divided by 2 is 4 inches. So we're going to come here, we're going to make a mark at 4 inches. Next thing you're going to do is you're going to come down by ½ inch. You see, from here, come down by ½ inch and make a mark there. You're going to connect both from here to here. You see, from here to here. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our neckline width. Okay, so for the width of your neckline for the dress this size, 1.5 inches for the neckline width is okay. So you take the 1.5 over here, and then for the neckline depth, for now, make a mark at 1.5 as well. Okay, so when you've done this, the next thing is to place the armhole over here. So to place the armhole measurement, you're going to divide the shoulder measurement into 2 places and place it there. So in this case, our shoulder measurement is 8 inches. 8 inches divided by 2 is 4 inches. So we're going to come down here. We're going to come down 4 inches. Okay, and then we're going to rule a line from here down, rule a line across, and then make a curve. Okay, now after you have done this, the next thing you will do is you need to take the distance from your shoulder to where you want the cut to be. In this case, I want mine to be 8 inches. So from the shoulder to where you want the flare part to start from, for me, that's 8 inches. So I'm going to come down to where I have 8 inches, and I'm going to make a mark at that point. You see that? And then the next thing I'm going to do, so I'm going to simply roll a line. Then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to place the chest measurement. For me, the belly is 20, the chest is 20, basically the same thing everywhere. So 20 divided by 4, that is 5 plus 1 inch for sewing allowance 6. Roll a line for your allowance of ½ inch at the bottom of your draft. Now the next thing we're going to do is we want to roll a line from here. Ignore this line. I'm going to roll a line from here to here. So now it's safe to cut it out. Okay. Also, make it a notch. Make a notch at the point where they are supposed to intersect. Make a notch at that point so that you don't miss it. Alright, when it's time for you to make the back, what you're going to do is you're going to keep 1.5 inch of allowance for your zipper. Now the pattern for the front and the pattern for the back are very similar. All you have to do is, you see this line that we have for the wrap, you're going to place it on the blue line to sit across the blue line, sit on the blue line, and then everywhere else is basically the same except the neckline. Okay, the only place where we have the difference is at the neckline. So what you're going to do at the neckline is this. From the neckline, you're going to come down by ½ inch and then make a curve from here out. These are the patterns that will be used for the front and for the back. Alright, so before we begin, let me explain something to you. If you take a look at the dress, you will see that there are 3 levels, okay? There are 3 levels of flay. So what we are going to do in order to achieve this is that we're going to need to cut the lining as a flay without any excess. Okay, we're going to cut the lining as a flay, but as for the pieces that will sit on top, we're going to need to cut them to be wider than the flay of the lining so that we can gather it on top. The first thing we're going to do is to cut the lining, but we're going to cut the lining shorter than the fabric so that the fabric completes it. So, but for the very first step, what we're going to do is this. See this part that we have under here, you're going to use your fabric to your back. Okay, you're going to use your back as a guide for cutting your flay. Now you see, the length of the flay total is supposed to be 20 inches plus the allowance that we have kept here, okay, of 1.5 inches. Sorry, so we're cutting 6.5 for the flay. We're going to have a little excess, but we can always trim that off. So you're going to simply use 6.5 inches to make a circle. Okay, we'll have a bit of excess, but that's fine. So now this is the pattern that we use to cut the lining. We have the curve for the flay. The next thing we're going to do is we have to place the length of the lining. The lining is what will hold the 3 levels of the flay that we are working on. So what we're going to do is this. You are going to keep, that's where you have your cut from your shoulder to the cut that we said is 8 inches. You need to throw out 8 inches and keep 8 inches on this line. The next thing is you're going to need to know what the total dress length is. So for me, the total dress length is 17 inches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my flay to stop at around 16 inches. Okay, so the flay should stop at 16 inches. The last step of the fabric that you would add is what will complete the length for you. You will see me do that when we are on the sewing machine. So simply place this 16 inches everywhere around the circle. So now this is the first, this is the lining. This is the part that we use. This is the pattern we use to cut the lining. As for these 2 patterns, you will not make any alterations. All of them, alterations will not be made. Simply put your fabric on a fold, place them on top, and cut. Alright, so you've watched me cut this part, and this part. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use the lining. That's the fabric I used to cut this blue piece. And I'm going to use that to cut the lining for this sides of the body as well. But it's exactly what you saw me do for them. Put the fabric on the fold, place it on top, and cut. No alterations will be made to the original pattern. Alright, so to begin, this is the pattern we're using. You're going to need to fold your fabric into 4 places. So it's quite easy. First of all, you put it on a straight fold like you normally do, and then you collapse it like this. Okay? Now after you have done that, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to keep this pattern on top. Now just note one thing: the more excess you leave on top of here, okay, the more excess you leave on top of here is the more room you are is the more excess you are going to have. So for me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep a room of 4 inches on top of here, and then what I'm going to do is this. You're going to cut from here like this, cut around the curve. Once you get to the top of your circle, you go all the way up. Now what you're going to do is you're going to now measure 4.5, and you're going to cut this pattern 4 times. You're going to measure 4.5. If you have a chalk, use that to mark the end, just the way we cut the circle before. So what I just did now, do that 3 times, and for every time, like for instance, at this on this piece, on this piece here, after I did this, I kept 4 inches on top of here. On the second one, you can keep 6 inches, and on the last one, you can keep 8 inches. You need to make it graduated so that there's more excess and it's full all the way down. I hope that is clear. So 4 inches on top of here. The next one will have a 6-inch excess on top after you fold, and the one after that should have an 8-inch excess on top after you fold. Make sure that the width of all of them is 4.5, like I have done. Alright, so the first part we'll handle is the front. So what I'm going to do, whatever I do to this part, make sure you repeat on this part. What I'm going to do is I'm going to simply stitch both of them together at the neckline alone. Alright, so now the next thing is to iron here completely flat, and then I would do the same thing here. Then I'll show you what to do to the back. Alright, so on the back, the same thing. I want you to stitch around the neck half an inch. After you have done that, the last thing is to fold down the zipper allowance and stitch half an inch from the top all the way down, joining the fabric and the lining together. Okay, so now the next thing is to bring both sides of the front, lay them in such a way where they intersect as where you have your notch. Okay, after that has been done, what you're going to now do is you're going to open here up, and then you're going to stitch on the first stitch that held both of them together. Alright, so that's what I'm going to do now. You're going to stitch from where you can feel the fabric underneath. That's this other part, you can actually feel it here. You start from there and stitch all the way down. So you see that now I have made the front in such a way that they intersect. Okay, and if you see, there's no stitch running on top of here. Alright, so to do that, you're going to get the back like so. You're going to place them in such a way where it's fabric on fabric, lining on lining, and then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch across, consuming half an inch, and then I'll do the same thing on the other side of the shoulder as well. So the next thing is I'm going to head over to my ironing table, and I'm going to spread and iron both sides of the shoulder of my seam flat like this. Alright, so the next thing is to stitch around the armhole. You can see here the armhole is clean. So to do that, you're going to simply flip this pattern upside down, turn it inside out like I have just done. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn here inside out, okay? Alright, so take this over to your ironing table, give this a good press. Alright, after you have turned the arm, ironed the armhole, I want you to measure across the front. So for me, this is 12 inches. Across the front of my pattern. For you it might be different, so measure across the front, and whatever number you get here, you want to cut a rectangle that is this number by 4 inches. So for me, from here to here is 12, so I'm going to go and cut a rectangle at 12 inches by 4. Okay, all right, so you see, this is it for me. All right, this is mine. This is the 12 by 4 I have cut, so I'm going to collapse it like so, and I'm going to sew ½ inch from the beginning to the end. I'm using a different fabric because I want the color to pop, give you a little contrast. Alright, so next thing you're going to do is you're going to spread and iron this flat, and then I need you to turn this inside out. Okay, so after you have made and ironed this, next thing is you want to tack it down on both sides. So before you tack it, you want to keep a space of ½ inch away from the end, because we'll attach some gathers to the bottom. So keep a space of ½ inch here, ½ inch on this side as well, and then tack it on. Make sure to separate your lining from what you are doing. Now after you've attached the band, it's time for us to join both sides together. So what we're going to do is this. Now you see the back, you're going to lay it open like this. You're going to take the front, merge it with the back. You're going to take the front, merge it with the back, and then I'm going to stitch the side. Now I'm going to run from here all the way across, consuming half an inch into the lining. So I kept 1 inch, but I'm consuming only half an inch so that there's some room around the body. So after joining the sides together like this, head over to your ironing table, spread an iron here flat on both sides, spread an iron here flat so that everything is neat, and we'll be back so we can join the bottom part of the dress. Alright, so this is what we have. This is how the inside would look. Everything is clean on the inside, and of course on the front side everything is clean as well. Okay, so remember I told you to cut 3 steps. Okay, to cut 3 steps of for your fillet. So the very first one we will deal with is the shortest one. That's the one that I kept 4 inches, and I told you the next step 6 inches. The one that is 4 inches high. Okay, that's the first step we're going to handle. But whatever I do here, do on all the other steps. I want you to hem ½ inch at the bottom. Alright, so after you have hemmed the whole thing, you're simply going to make gathers from here all the way down. But when you start, you want to leave an excess of 1.5 inches. When you start, you don't gather from the very beginning. You stitch. After 1.5 inches, you can start gathering your the fabric. Alright, so now the next thing is to attach the lining. You're going to turn to the opposite side, place the lining on top, and then for this you can simply stitch it. No need to gather, just stitch from here all the way down. Make sure that the gathers that are underneath don't get in the way. So as you sew, make sure to go under clean. Make sure that your gathers underneath are not in your way before you stitch. So I'm going to go from here all the way down. Okay, because of how we cut it, if you happen to have any excess of like 2 inches or just a little excess like I do, it's fine for you to carefully cut it off. So that's what I'm going to do so that we can move on to the next step. Okay, but you see that because of that stitch that we just made, look at how clean the inside is as well. There's no rough stitch on the inside. So let's attend to let me bring the next step. Make sure to hem all the steps that you have made like we did this one. Alright, so on to the second step. So look at it here. I've hemmed the bottom part of it and I've ironed it. So the next thing we're going to do is you want to place it to sit 1 inch into where the last one stopped. So you see where the last one stopped, you're going to place it 1 inch in. Okay, and then take note, if the space between the joining and you, okay, if the space between the joining and you at the beginning is 1.5 inch, make sure that that stays constant at every point around the fillet so that it does not undulate. So with that, we have made the first 2 steps. Now I'm going to simply repeat the same thing for the very last step, and that should complete the dress. Okay, so whatever I did to the second level, that's what you're going to do to the last step. So you see what I was talking about? We have the first level, second level, and the third level. Alright, so now the next step is to fix our zipper. So what you're going to do, bring both sides of the zipper together. of the zipper allowance together. Now remember we kept 1.5. We've consumed half an inch already when we're turning the back pattern. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to stitch from here straight down. So now the next thing is to iron the zipper allowance flat. So you see this part here on the back, the zipper allowance, I want you to spread and iron it flat. Alright, so the next step is to fix the zipper. Now the method I'm going to use here, I have made a video on it before. The video is called how to fix a zipper in less than 4 minutes. So if you don't know how to fix a zipper, go and see that video. But I'm going to run my zipper from here all the way down. And after you install the zipper, you're done. So if you've come this far, thank you for watching this far into the video. Please make sure to like the video. So this is the end result. This looks a nice little dress. So yeah, make sure by the time you get here you are done with the dress apparently. So have a lovely day. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.